The Vampire Nun of Palermo. Part 1. They say she never left the convent, not even after death. A single candle flickers in a stone cell beneath Palermo. The flame quivers as if something breathes close by. A rosary lies on the floor, dark beads snapped, the silver cross stained red. A cloister door creaks open to blackness, though no wind stirs outside. And in the chapel beyond, a pale woman kneels before the altar, her habit untouched by time, her hands folded in prayer or penance. She lifts her head, eyes black as oil. She smiles. You're listening to The Leaks. I'm Mira Solen. Sometimes a story arrives that doesn't whisper, it bleeds. This one came to me in a padded envelope, no return address. Inside was a voice recording and a page torn from a convent ledger. At the bottom, in red ink, someone had written, "She prays still, but not to God." Tonight's leak takes us to Palermo, to a convent long since abandoned, where time runs differently, and prayer may not lead where you expect. I've pieced this story together from the tape. It's the voice of a man who claims he found something buried beneath the stones. Not a skeleton, but a secret still alive. Let's begin. Before we continue, if you find yourself drawn to stories like this, buried legends, voices lost in ash and blood, you might want to explore the myths that never made it to school books. There's one place I turn when the archives go quiet: Audible. They have entire collections on forbidden history, suppressed religions, and vampire folklore older than Dracula. It helps keep the leaks breathing in the shadows. And maybe it'll whisper something new to you. Link in the description below. Part 2. The Cell Beneath the Altar. Narrated by Mira Solen, in place of the guest. I arrived in Palermo under rain. The kind of rain that feels too warm, like it's falling from skin instead of sky. My assignment was simple: document the ruins of Santa Lucia del Sangue, an old cloister outside the city. It was being stabilized for historical preservation, though no one planned to open it again. Most locals wouldn't go near the place. They called it cursed in that casual way, like a joke that's not a joke. But I've worked with worse: abandoned hospitals, war bunkers. This place was different. It felt alert. The front gates hung open when I arrived, though they'd been locked the day before. Inside, ivy coiled through broken stained glass, and water pooled in the old refectory. Pigeons nested in the rafters above the nave, but none crossed into the sanctuary. Behind the altar, a narrow staircase led down, unlisted on any diagram I had. I followed it, flashlight flickering. The air thickened, smelling of iron and candle smoke. At the bottom, I found a sealed door, carved with a single Latin phrase: Clausa quia periculosa. Closed because dangerous. The hinges screamed as I forced it open. Inside was a small stone cell, no larger than a pantry. A broken crucifix lay across the floor, snapped at the neck. The walls were covered in shallow scratches, hundreds of them. As if someone had tried to write something without ink. And in the corner, wrapped in linen, was a book. Not leather, not paper, something else. Its pages were stiff, brown, and flaked at the edges like dried skin. The ink shimmered black-red in the flashlight beam. I knew, instantly, it was blood. Part 3. The Confession of Sister Aurelia. The first entry in the book was dated 1678. The handwriting was small and careful, like someone trained to confess in silence. It began, I drank only once. But once is enough to damn a soul." The next line was crossed out violently, as if someone had tried to forget it. The name signed at the bottom was Sister Aurelia of the Sacred Veil. She was brought to the convent at age 7, orphaned, possibly abandoned. Records were inconsistent, but every sister who wrote about her noted the same thing. She never cried, never fell ill, slept rarely, and only during the day. She advanced quickly, becoming a novice at 13 and taking full vows before 15. They called her the Quiet Miracle. But behind closed doors, the sisters began to worry. Some said they found her in trance during night prayers, speaking Latin no one had taught her. Others claimed they saw her walking barefoot through the garden hours before sunrise. She said angels spoke to her. But one sister swore she saw blood at the corners of Aurelia's mouth during Lent. The Mother Superior ordered isolation. They believed she was possessed, or worse, lying about visions to gain power. So they locked her in the old bell tower during Holy Week. When they opened the door, days later, she hadn't moved. Her hands were folded, but her nails were cracked and bloody. Dead birds littered the stone outside the window, necks broken cleanly. She said nothing, just smiled. After that, fear replaced reverence. Sisters began whispering that she'd brought something into the convent. They blamed her for every shadow, every sickness. One nun went missing entirely. Her rosary was later found in Aurelia's prayer book. Part 4. A Resurrection Gone Wrong. The entry was dated 2 years later. "Tonight I will try," she wrote. "If he hears me, she will return. If not, then I will know what loves me." The storm struck just before midnight. Lightning shattered the chapel's front window, igniting part of the curtain, but the fire went out without touching anything else. The sisters ran through the halls, calling each other's names. That's when they heard the screaming. It came from the crypt. They followed a trail of blood, long and deliberate, from the lower stairs to the cloister garden. There, beneath the old olive tree, they found Aurelia, unconscious, kneeling in the dirt. Clutched in her arms were the remains of a child, bones wrapped in prayer linens, still damp. When she woke, she whispered. She wouldn't answer. But something else did. The sisters tried to hide what they'd seen, but rumors spread. Aurelia was confined again, this time in the wine cellar beneath the chapel. But when a priest arrived to question her, he returned pale and trembling. He said she hadn't blinked once, and when he held the crucifix toward her, she laughed. From that night forward, her reflection vanished from the baptismal font. Her skin stopped changing. She didn't sleep. She didn't eat. But she still sang the psalms, every evening at dusk. The same melody, the same trembling pitch. The Vatican sent word: isolate, record, observe. But nothing more. Not yet. Part 5. The Fall of the Convent. The entries grew shorter after that. Fewer words, more symbols, some written backwards, some carved into the pages with a sharpened nail. One simply read, "He comes, but I am not afraid. I was his before I was yours." Soon after, sisters began dying. Not violently, not at first. They were found in bed, peaceful, with hands folded and mouths slightly open. But their skin had lost all colour, and their hearts had stopped without struggle. The doctor called it a wasting illness, but he refused to return after the third body. One nun tried to flee. She was found at the edge of the orchard, her legs bent backwards like broken reeds. In her hand was a small strip of parchment, It read only, Aurelia. A final priest was sent from Rome. He arrived with oil, incense, and a sharpened stake, just in case. He entered her cell before sunrise. They waited outside. He never came back out. When they finally opened the door, the cell was empty. Only his rosary remained, melted to the stone floor. The Vatican closed the convent the next month. They claimed fire damage, though no fire had touched the stone. Locals said the singing didn't stop, it just got quieter. Some nights, you could still hear it echoing through the garden. Part 6. The Return. I stopped reading. I don't remember putting the book down, but I remember the sound. A voice, low and thin, like wind passing through reeds, singing. The same melody Sister Aurelia had written in the margins. A psalm in Latin, just off key. It was coming from above. I climbed back to the chapel. The air was cold, colder than the crypt. Candles were lit on the altar. 3 of them, fresh wax, though I had never lit them. She was there, kneeling at the altar rail, pale skin beneath her veil, untouched by dust or age. Her hands were folded, her head bowed. She looked like a statue, until she turned. Her eyes were completely black, no white, no iris, just void. She smiled, slow and tired, like someone waking from a dream. I stepped back, but the chapel doors slammed shut behind me. I turned, pulled at them, locked. When I looked back, she was gone. No footsteps, no sound. Only a blood-stained rosary left on the pew, still warm. We think of nuns as brides of God, but sometimes something else says, I do. Somewhere in Palermo, beneath a chapel no one visits, a voice still sings when the sun begins to fall. You can call it myth, a fable for the faithful. But remember, myth is not fiction, it's memory. Someone wanted you to forget. Lit Reads now has channel memberships. If you'd like to support the channel and unlock exclusive perks, like loyalty badges and a place among the acknowledged, you can join the Reader's Circle below. It's a small way to help keep the library doors open, links in the description.